Supreme Lord, eternal truth, let us obey thee alone and live according to truth. Namaste, Vande Matram. Good morning. Welcome all of you. Today we will have a short discussion on the knower beyond the time. The knower beyond time. This will be the topic of today's spiritual discussion. So, the entire discussion will be based on Sri Aurobindo's Savitri. We will ask so many beautiful points. We'll see it here on the Lord's adventure. So, this topic of discussion will be on the knower beyond time. It is a brilliant description as described by Sri Aurobindo in his magnum opus Savitri, the legend and symbol. So, on this divine journey, we will start with the sentence, a hope immense now seized his heart, and to discern the superhuman's form, he raised his eyes to unseen spiritual heights. He raised his eyes to unseen spiritual heights. The heights are there, spiritual heights are there, that is unseen. He raised his eyes to explore, aspiring to bring down a greater world. Spiritual heights, his unseen. Now he is aspiring to bring down a greater world. The glory he had glimpsed must be his home. This spiritual, unseen spiritual height, thus greater diviner world which has to be brought down. This glory he had glimpsed through his naked eyes must be his home. A brighter, heavenlier sun must soon illumine this dusk room with its dark internal stare. Just imagine, it has to be brought down. He has seen with his spiritual vision. He is trying to bring down so that this darkened dusk room must be illumined. Then what happened? The ideal must be nature's common truth. Sri Aurobindo quotes here. The ideal must be nature's common truth. Nature is capital N, higher nature. The body illumined with the indwelling God. God is there indwelling within us. So this body is now housing the indwelling God. This body which is housing, of course it is housing the indwelling God must be illumined. The heart and mind feel one with all that is. So not only the body, heart and mind feel one with all that is. A conscious soul live in a conscious world. Once again, he is tracing upon the world that is a conscious world, and tracing upon the soul that is also a conscious soul. A conscious soul live in a conscious world. Then what happens? Very brilliant thing. As though a mist, a sovereign peak is seen. As through a mist, a sovereign peak is seen. Among the mists, this foggy mist and all, as through a mist, a sovereign peak is seen. The greatness of the eternal spirit appeared. The greatness of the eternal spirit appeared. As it appears, the sovereign peak amid the mist and foggies. So exiled in a fragmented universe amid half semblances of diviner things, he is visible, exiled in a fragmented universe. The universe where we are now staying, that is a fragmented universe. Exiled in a fragmented universe amid half semblances of diviner things. These now could serve no more his regal terms. These fragmented universe, half semblances, these could not serve his regal return anymore. The immortal's pride refused the doom to live, a miser of the scanty bargain made between our littleness and bounded hopes and the compassionate infinitude. So it has to be left out. There is a big bargaining. So immortal's pride is there. It refused the doom to live. So it has to cross behind. It is having a greater vision. It has to pass beyond the human limits. Then what happens? What is the change coming in his vision? His height repelled the lowness of earth's state. two things are there. One is heavenly state and another is on the lower state. One is higher from in higher hemisphere, one is in lower hemisphere. His height repelled the lowness of earth state. Here in the earth state everything is low, confined, bounded and small. His height repelled height because it has been gone up to a height, the soul is released. His height repelled the lowness of earth's state, a wideness discontented with its fame, resiled from poor ascent to nature's terms. So it could not be satisfied with the littleness, the lowness. It actually discontented with its form, repelled the lowness of earth's state. It has to go up. The hearts contract, spawned and the diminished leads. Only beginnings are accomplished here. He has to go. This is only a bright beginning. From the beginning, he has to start his heavenly or divine journey. Our base matter seems alone complete. Only we are still in a base where almost everything, almost people are there. They are ignorant. They don't know. They have not come into the base. Then height has to be erased. The structure has to be erased, and he has to go up. It is only a beginning. An absolute machine without a soul of all seems misfit half-baked ideas, or we saddle with the voice of earthly form a horrid imperfect glimpse of heavenly things, guesses and travesties of celestial types. Only what people think, how they they just speak, they just guess, and travesties only there. Nothing is achieved because only base is done at that level, and the Lord imagines and sees all. Then what happened? There is no perfect answer to our hopes. We have got some hopes. Hopes, not that material hopes, the spiritual hopes, the supramental hopes. So many hierarchical hopes, the bigger hopes are there. There is no perfect answer to our hopes. There are blind, voiceless doors that have no key. Doors are there, it is locked. There is no perfect key to be opened. So things are locked within. Thought climbs in vain and brings a borrowed light. Thoughts sometimes it is climbing upwards. It is there since the time eternal. This process is going on, but actually all in vain. It brings only a borrowed light. The light for the time being, for a very little light, it is bringing as on borrowing. Cheated by counterfeits sold to us in life's mart. This is only a cheating, a deceiving. It is a borrowed might, nothing permanent in it. Our hearts clutch at a forfeited heavenly bliss. The bliss that is heavenly bliss, but it is forfeited. That forfeited bliss is our hearts are clutching to. There is a provender for the mind's satiety. There are thrills of the flesh, but not the soul's divine desire. Everything is confined to the thrills of the mind and the life, but nothing permanent for the soul, because soul's desire is something different. Mind and the life, they are satisfied with the littleness, with this borrowed might, with this in the life's mart, whatever is sold there, in the small fragmentary universe and the small impermanent things, mind and life are satisfied, but soul is discontented. Here even the highest rapture time can give is a mimicry of ungrasped beatitudes. So things are there, beatitudes are there, but it is ungrasped. But what happened? The highest rapture time can give. What the highest rapture time can give, that is a mimicry of ungrasped beatitudes. It is not for some fool, it is not whole, we can't get satisfied. A mutilated statue of ecstasy, a wounded happiness that can't live. The happiness that is wounded. The statue of ecstasy that is mutilated, that is actually available to the human eye, mind and heart, but nothing true and powerful is there. It is yet to be achieved. A babe felicity of mind or sense thrown by the world power to her body slave. It is thrown away, and simply we are going and gathering them, and we are possessing. We think we have possessed, and we think we have found the whole. But thing is, it is entirely a fragment. It is a borrowed thing. We have been cheated. We have been deceived by the mind and life. But thing is that they feel satisfied that they have gained a lot. Then what happens? An inconsequence dogs every effort made. consequence, and then inconsequence here in the course. Dogs every effort made, and chaos waits on every cosmos form. There is only chaos under behind the every cosmos form. In each success, a seed of failure lurks. We pride upon that we have succeeded, but our success is only the failure of the souls. In each success, a seed of failure lurks. He saw the doubtfulness of all things here. Everything only confusions, doubtfuls, contraries, enigmas, puzzles like this it is seen. The incertitude of man's proud, confident thought, the transience of the achievements of his force, everything is doubtful because there is only packed with failure. The incertitude of man's proud, confident confident thought, and proud, confident thought. But behind everything, there is only incertitude. As behind the all things there is only doubtfulness, behind all success only the seed of failure lurks, only failure. So failure, incertitude, transience, only these are the things, but we feel in the rational bent, taking the rational bent of mind, we feel we have got something, we have achieved a whole, we have gone to a big distance, but thing is that where we were, we have simply been deceived by the mind and heart. Then Sri Aurobindo quotes here, the transience of the achievements of his force, the thinking big in an unthinkable world. The world that is unthinkable, it can't be thought of. Unthinkable world, in an unthinkable world, it is a thinking big. An island in the sea of the unknown. The unknown, it is the sea of the unknown. Inside only an island, one small island is there, which is covered by big city, and none can reach there because none can know it because it is unknown. Still then, what happens? He is a smallness trying to be great. Smallness, very much limited, trying to be great. An animal with some instincts of a god. This is the precarious situations here in the course of. To these boasting animals, he is showing the real illumined light. He is showing the true sense of greatness. Is actually, it has been kept very much visible by Sri Aurobindo before us. He is a smallness trying to be great, an animal with some instincts of a god. His life a story too common to be told. His life a story too common to be told, but he think it is something uncommon. We have achieved in a big way. His deeds, a number summing up to naught. Whatever he has achieved, whatever he has done till now so far, it is summing up to a naught or a big zero. Means the achievement is zero, but we think we carry out, we have done lot day and night throughout the life. We are doing something, but actually the summation, the entire result is zero, summing up to naught. His consciousness is a torch lit to be quenched. His consciousness, a torch lit to be quenched. It is just a very limited time, lit to be quenched. His hope, a star above a cradle and a grave. What his hope, he has entirely hoped. His hope is a star above a cradle and a grave, and yet a greater destiny may be his. In spite of all these shortcomings, all these failures, all these limitations, there is Sri Aurobindo's observation and his consolation and his advice, that a greater destiny may be his. There is a greater destiny, it is awaiting somewhere on the top. For the eternal spirit is his birth. Why there is a destiny, why it is waiting? For the eternal spirit is his birth. Even though he is now confined, he has lost his greatness and all. For the eternal spirit is his birth. He can recreate himself and all around. There is a possibility. He can be, if he is conscious enough, he can recreate himself and all around. And fashion new the world in which he lives. He can be fashioned his world to a new world. He, ignorant, is the knower beyond time. He knows beyond time. He is the self above nature, above fate. Thank you. Vande Mataram.